So Foreclosures Daily, where we connect buyers with motivated sellers. I'm Nancy Wallace-Laabs, and tonight I'm joined by my business partner, who also happens to be my daughter, Kelcie Leka. So Kelcie, hi, thanks for being on here today.
Of course,
So
of course.
we're going to go and talk more about Foreclosures Daily. I always struggle with, okay, there we go. All right, so Foreclosures Daily is your trusted nationwide real estate lead partner. So leads, they do leads. They have nationwide reach, connecting investors with realtors, attorneys, first-time buyers with high-quality leads. They are the industry leader in business since 2004, and they've become the internet's top destination for detailed, timely real estate information. And I know I've been using them since 2018. They are a company, lead source, where they have the expertise that you can trust. They have a commitment to excellence to ensure that their clients receive the most accurate and up-to-date data available. So how are they different? Well, it's not just a difference, it's an advantage with Foreclosures Daily. And I can speak from experience. As I stated, I have been a client of Foreclosures Daily since 2018. And prior to that, I struggled with different list companies. I struggled with, okay, do they have leads? And I'm a real estate investor, so I need to be working with a company that has leads. I don't have time for, finding gun sellers. I had one lady that she just had guns. Okay, I do know people that want guns, or jewelry or art, or planning estate sales. So they are real estate focused data. Their list comes with real estate specific information. And depending on the type of leads you get them daily, weekly, or monthly. They have property appraisal information, which I'm going to be talking about tonight. Like, why would that even matter? Why would that be a thing? Which benefits, the benefit is that you get to see the value of the property. And then for me, I make my marketing strategies based on that value. So it's from, you benefit from a property appraiser data on most data types. They're specialized for real estate, unlike reports from other companies. Their data is farmed exclusively for the real estate market. So whether you're an investor or a realtor, they have the data that you need, and they prioritize delivering up-to-date targeted information just to keep you going and where you can keep you ahead of the game, right? I do another webinar, which we'll be doing later this year, on pre-probates. And the one thing that you can do with lists is that you can get ahead of the game because, if you're an investor or even a realtor, I mean, listings are competitive, but with Foreclosures Daily, they have different types of leads that you can choose from. I mean, you could market to all of them if you wanted to. So they have probate leads. They have pre-probate. So that's the kind of leads that I primarily focus on, but I also use absentee owners. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how we use the divorce leads. And then you have distress leads, code violations, eviction reports, inheritance, auctions, tax lates, lis pendens, I always say that not quite right, and cash buyer lists. So they have the data that you as an investor really need. And as a realtor, you can get listings that, that you can find out about people wanting to sell their property before they even know they want to sell the property, right? Now, when you become a client of Foreclosures Daily, it's not just about, okay, we're going to buy a list, right? They want you to be successful. So they have people that can help you with direct mail, right? And I'm going to be talking about how I market to the divorce leads. So they have a company called Marketing by Hand that you can work with. They also have ways that you can get in. Now, they don't provide this, but they partner with other companies like Drop Cowboy and get the RVM and just deliver it. So those are ringless voicemails. Skip tracing. So if you have, like I have a card here that I mailed out and it was returned to sender, it says no longer there. So I can skip trace this to find out if I can track down the owner. They have, you can use a service called Pat Live. I've used that before. So if you don't have the staff to answer the phones when they're ringing after your marketing, you can actually hire these companies to do that for you. Plus, and tonight we're going to offer you a bunch of sample letters, but they want you to be successful. So your representative that you're working with is going to help you. They're going to give you a toolbox and kind of show you, okay, this is how you market to these leads. So tonight, when we talk about divorce leads, I'm going to show you exactly the steps that Kelcie and I use to market to divorce leads. You guys have to excuse me just a minute. I talked way too much today. So here's one of the companies. They're called Marketing by Hand. And look how pretty these are. So some of the ways that I market is I actually do use blank cards. And this is one that they did. And it looks like it was a handwritten, because the name of the game in marketing is to get the potential seller to open it, because how can they call you if they don't open their mail? So you have to make it attractive. So what I have found to be very successful for how I market for finding off-market properties is I make it look like a wedding invitation or a birthday card or something, so that when they get it, so it doesn't look like a form letter. Now, sometimes form letters are good, and we're going to talk about that marketing strategy tonight and why you would use that. And then you also get, they're going to talk to you about the 6-step mailing campaign. Kelcie, can you read that for me?
Yeah. So 6-step mailing campaign, and then the 6-touch follow-up strategy, ready to use phone scripts, and we have the pre-written email templates for attorneys and lawyers. Basically, you guys see this list. It's just a toolbox, again, a toolbox in your go ahead. Are you good?
I'm good, I think.
All good.
And you also get this book, winning. Oh my goodness, am I getting laryngitis? Winning Deals and Heels. So it's a book I wrote.
And I'll take over really quick. It's a bestseller. All proceeds go to a
nonprofit.
Thank you, a nonprofit. I was thinking of the Women Hope Store.
Hope Store.
Yeah, in Plano. And so all proceeds go to her. But yeah, it's one of Nancy's great books that she wrote.
Thank you so much, Kelcie. All right. I might have to talk a little slower. But now, if you sign up for Foreclosures Daily, they have webinar specials tonight where you can get their pre-probate, probate, and the more money you spend, the more money you save. So I usually just go for broke, and I get a whole year's worth of their leads, because I'll send out about 100 cards. And for every 100 cards I send out, I probably average about $5,000 in profit. So the leads themselves more than pay for themselves. So you can talk with the representative. So you see, like if you buy for 12 weeks, you're spending $600. But if you get 52 weeks, you're going to save $646. So you're going to spend $1,750. So you do want to reach out, and they also have sales going on. Like Labor Day is coming up, so they might have a special sale for that. And if you're in Florida, so basically the way the sales works, if you buy one county, then you get another county added on at 50%. So they try to make it very economical. And I can tell you, the most expensive part of marketing to off-market properties is the postage, because you want to make sure you're doing first class. So you'll see I have a little stamp on here. I have done bulk mailing, but the thing with bulk mailing is most of the time you have to have 200 pieces going to the same zip code. The company that I was talking about, handwriting by mail, they actually, like if you use them, they'll go in, they'll get your list, they'll stamp it, and they'll send it out for you. So again, if you're just a one-person show, like it's Kelcie and I, we have a couple VAs. So sometimes we outsource our marketing. When I talk about outsourcing, I'm talking about writing those cards. So getting back to the leads that you can buy: probates, pre-probates, inheritance, divorce code. So if you buy one county, like I'm in Texas, and I don't even know how many counties we have. We have a lot. And so the more counties I buy, I get 50% added on. So you can, it's like a buy one, get one. So we'll come back to that. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask here or get with your representative. And I think my voice is actually coming back. Do I sound a little better now? Oh, all right. Now we're going to start diving deeper into tonight's topic is we're going to be talking about divorce leads. And I'm going to be presenting Kelcie. She's kind of newer. She's going to give her story here in a minute when we start talking about money making mamas. I've been investing in single family homes since 2006. As I mentioned before, I've been a client of Foreclosures Daily since 2018. We're investors, we coach people, we're educators, helping families build wealth through our off market opportunities. So we have real strategies, real stories, and real results. Now, the objective of this particular webinar, because normally if you've tuned in before, I'm usually, hosting it and then we have a guest speaker. So tonight I'm kind of acting as both. And then Kelcie, being my business partner, she's going to chime in here on our marketing. And again, we're going to specifically speak to divorce leads. So what I want you to walk away with tonight is how to effectively use Foreclosures Daily divorce leads. Because you know what? You can buy a list, but and they have the best list, right? Foreclosures Daily has the best divorce and other types of leads. But if you don't know how to market and understand the information that the list contains, you'll just be leaving opportunities, deals, and money on the table. So the thing that I love about their leads is it's just not a name and an address. Okay, and you're going to see that in just a minute. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I'm going to let you take this slide over, Kelcie, while I take another break. So tell them who we are.
Yep. So if you've been on here before, you're very familiar with Nancy Wallace-Laabs. So real estate investor. She's my mom. She's got several books, including The Winning Deals and Heels, a couple other ones about property management. I always say that you're just one of the gurus of real estate investing. And so for me, those that don't know me, so again, my name is Kelcie Leka. I am a mom of two. And I always joke with everyone that my experience in the real estate investing department is in the garage painting cabinets. I was always on the sidelines while they did flips and just helping out with just little tasks that they would give me. And so when I had my second baby, I just realized I didn't want to go back to work. And so I went to mom and I was like, hey, I need to replace my income. How can I do that? I want to start investing in real estate. And so she taught me just her knowledge over the years and, really taught me as a student. And we used Foreclosure Daily Leads and I was able to invest to replace my income. And then I had other moms come to me and say, hey, I want to do this too. So that's how Money Makin Mamas was born.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. And like I said, we have been clients here. So there's probably not anything that I haven't done as far as investing. But again, you can't really invest and find good deals because if you're an investor, you know that you make money on the buy. And right now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I think a lot of places, real estate has gotten super high. Like when I started investing, I could still buy 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes pretty easily in my area for around $120,000. Now those same homes are about $350,000. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is how can you ethically, because divorce is one of those things. I've been there. So you have to know why I gave this presentation or a similar one to another group and they thought it was really depressing. And I said, well, here's the thing. When you look for distressed properties, it's usually because of some life event is occurring. I do a lot with probate and pre-probate. And so that is usually, someone has passed away in order for the real estate to become available. So divorce leads matter because it impacts nearly half of all marriages. We don't want to think about that because no one goes to the altar going, ooh, we're never, I might get a divorce. They don't think that. So I personally have been divorced. Kelcie ended up marrying somebody that's divorced. Well, not anymore. I mean, she didn't cause the divorce. Let me
No, it's not the reason.
So it does impact nearly half of all the marriages. And I just wanted to kind of show you this graph because I wanted to do some statistics. So this graph represents why divorce leads matter, why you should know about them, right? Because it's kind of an untapped market. People are a little bit, it's kind of like, it's not, I think that people are more afraid to contact as an investor divorce people than they are people in probate, right? Because divorce comes with a lot of baggage, right? I mean, I don't know very many people that, you don't always have to sell the house, but usually that's what happens is because they just want to be done with it. So first marriage is the blue represents, what is that number, Kelsey? I don't have my glasses on. It's like 40%, right?
45%.
But look at the red. That's second marriages. So I'm in a second marriage, and I think we're okay. We've been married 25 plus years, so I think we're good. So you just kind of have to be aware that, and there's probably everybody on here knows somebody that's been divorced or, been through the divorce. So what you want to understand about divorce leads lists, so what you want to understand is what Foreclosures Daily provides on their divorce list. So it's, again, not just the name and address, it's the county, the case number, the file date, the defendant and plaintiff information, which you'll see, and why would that be a good thing? The attorney contact details, and the property information, including the value, the bedrooms, etc. Now, what I did is, I'm glad this showed up sometimes when you copy and paste these things. So this is an example of, I'm going to be showing the next 2-3 slides are going to be examples of the kind of information that's on one list. So what I'm going to be showing you is, because I couldn't put one list because it's too big, so I had to take sections of it. So I wanted to show you what kind of data is actually on the list. So you have the county name. This is Collin County. Here is the file date when the person filed for divorce, and the case number. Now, the date is important because if you get these leads every week, you're going to want to time your marketing. So if someone just filed on December 19th and I got the list on the same day, I'm not going to send them a letter. I'm going to wait a little bit. You could send them a letter, but they're probably going to be very upset with you. And then it's got the defendant's name, last name, the plaintiff, and the plaintiff's last name. And then here, what I think is really cool, and you actually have a few ways to market to this list. So this gives you the attorney's information. Now it's the plaintiff because the plaintiff is the person who filed for the divorce. And you can do a whole marketing campaign just around the attorneys. Now, I have a few tips for you on how to market to attorneys because it sounds like it would be super simple to send them a letter and, or call them up and get an appointment. And so I have found the gatekeeper. So we have a freebie offer for you tonight. And one of the things I'm giving you is how to get around the gatekeeper. Most attorneys have one. It's that person that schedules their appointment. Maybe it's their paralegal. But the main thing is that you want that attorney to know that whether you're a realtor or you're an investor, that you can provide the solution to somebody who might be going through divorce. And then here's the property address, here's the city, here's the zip code. Okay, so I want to point out the property value. So for me, you can see that Collin County is very, I'm trying to think of what it would be comparable to in Florida, like Boca Raton maybe, or some high dollar area. And so that's Collin County. So you can see as a realtor, which I am a broker, I might want to list these instead of being an investor. So I make my decision on what kind of marketing piece I'm going to send to the potential seller based on the value of the house. So all of these that are right here, I would kind of go after them as a listing instead of, or if I was looking for a high-end Airbnb, or if I was looking for maybe a group home, like a residence, assisted living residence. I just met someone who they're looking for a house to purchase for victims of sex trafficking. And so it's a nonprofit and they actually buy houses and then they get money to help the women, children get back up on their feet. So the property value becomes very important. Now for me, and I've talked about this before about my investing criteria. So I personally, when I buy rental houses or short-term rentals, my threshold is $300,000 ARV, after repair value. So I'm kind of a low risk investor. I always want to make sure that I have an exit strategy no matter what type of property I'm investing in. But with these property values, they're in the millions if I'm counting my zeros right. So for me, I would be marketing to these people as, hey, do you need to sell your house? And I can help you with that. The other thing here, it shows you like it's a single family or townhome. Sometimes it's vacant land. So it'll tell you that the property use type. Okay. So, you can buy the list, right? And you can send out a card. But when it comes down to handling families that are going through divorce, the skill set that you bring to that is going to be paramount to solving their solution. So if you're somebody who doesn't know what empathy is, you can't acknowledge it. Now, so Kelcie and I, we kind of differ in this area because I have been divorced. I've gone through that. I'm a little bit older. So I can bring kind of experience and wisdom to that. She's not quite a newlywed, but how long have you been married, Kelcie?
It'll be 5 years this November.
So when she talks to sellers, um, her approach is going to be a little bit different than mine. She can empathize, but she hasn't been there in terms of actually going through a divorce. But what we talked about when we were talking about doing this is you were talking about the assets, right? And you had a situation where about the assets. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my husband got divorced. We've been married 5 years, so like 10, maybe over 10 years now. I don't know the exact timestamps. But 10 plus years ago. And so the first time they went through divorce, they had a couple of assets that was more of, it wasn't defined in the papers that, hey, this is what you're going to get, this is what I'm going to get. And we thought all good. And then here we are, 8 years later, and he's having to touch on some things. So even if people are saying that, okay, I'm just going to go this way and go this way, really just want to make sure that everything is in dot the I's, cross the T's, everything of assets is in there, because you never know what your name is going to be tied to, even when you say, okay, you just deal with that side and I'll deal with this side. So that's kind of my recent experience with just multiple assets that we are kind of having to deal with.
Right. And so when you're working with these families, one of the tips is like, you just saw that you have the defendant name and the plaintiff name. But I also like when I have a seller that calls. So my kind of 1-2 approach is I go through the list and then I determine what type of marketing I'm going to be doing. So if I send them a card or if I send them a letter, then when I get that call, so I don't do this part until I get the call and I figure out, number one, who's calling me. Is it the plaintiff or is it the defendant that is calling me? And I'm actually kind of interviewing them to find out, what they're thinking, because the last thing I want to do is A, I'm not going to give legal advice, but B, I do not want to get involved in a tug of war in between the two people who might be warring. I want to keep it very objective, objective and stating the facts. So I am there for the active listening. I want them to share what they want to share. And sometimes I've been on these calls where they just need to vent, right? It doesn't really, sometimes you end up being a counselor when you're dealing with the divorce leads. But once you let them get that, because what I'm doing is I'm actually building rapport and trust, right? So if I just started like, okay, well, tell me about the house and all of that, and they're upset, let's say it's the woman, and she has to, the house has to be sold. She doesn't really know where she's going to go, or the husband. So they are in a kind of a flux of what to do, and they're looking for a professional to come in and give them solutions. And that's where you come in. So you have to explain what their options are and avoiding the jargon like sometimes us realtors and investors do. And you want to offer them solutions without pressure. Now, a really good tactic is to just say, hey, let's look at the value of the home. And if possible, you want to try and get an appointment where both people are there. Now, sometimes that doesn't always work out, but you want to be able to talk with at least one party. And this recently happened to me. So I was working a lead. It was actually the husband that called and they wanted to list the house. So I went and looked at the house, and the wife was not around, but they were going to have to sell the house because neither one of them could afford to stay in it afterwards. And so, unbeknownst to the husband, the wife hired another realtor to list the house. And he moved out. He had gone on, he moved to California, so he just let her do that. And he didn't want to have anything to do with it. So, and it wasn't me. She wouldn't even meet with me. So it was one of those situations where, if you have to walk a fine line, because if you build rapport with one party, then the other party might not want to deal with you because they see you as being loyal to the other person. So I hope that makes sense. And then the other thing is building credibility with attorneys. And that's a whole different marketing strategy that I'm going to get into here in just a second. Now I guess I'm going to do it right now about the marketing campaign. So now you can text, you can, call. I've done both of those things. I'm not a big texter. For whatever reason, there's a lot of people texting right now about, oh, do you want to buy a house or sell? And I don't respond well to text. So I don't advocate that way of marketing. I always do direct mail. Now I have in the past done cold calling, but again, when you get the list from Foreclosures Daily, you'll notice that I did not show you any phone numbers. That's because they don't have them. So if you want to do cold calling, what you would need to do is take the list and then upload it to a company that can give you the phone numbers, and then you can make those calls. What I have found to be more effective is direct mail campaigns to the owners of the home and to the attorney. Okay, and there's two different letters that I send out. If you do the phone outreach, just professional calls that focus on the solutions, not pressure. And one thing that you're going to have to figure out how you want to answer this question, because it happens all the time, is if you're doing cold calling, or even if you send them a letter, they want to know, well, how did you get my name? How did you get my name? And that's like the number one question I get all the time. So what I say is, I got your name, that I'm looking for. I have buyers that are looking for houses to buy in your neighborhood. And that's usually the end of the conversation, because then I want to find out if they're wanting to sell, what they're wanting to do. So that's with the homeowners. Email campaigns, again, you'll notice on that list that I didn't show you any emails. So there might be a way, like if you have a web page and you want to kind of put on Facebook that you deal with, life situations, including divorce, and you have some way for people to opt in, you could email them. You can also send the list to a company that will give you the email, but I have found that has a very low, because the emails change all the time, spam, that kind of thing. So it's not the most effective way. So direct mail is going to be by far the best way to reach these sellers. Now, networking with attorneys. So that is another marketing aspect that you could do. So remember on that list, it had the name of the attorney. So your job as a realtor or an investor is not that you're going to talk to the attorney about, hey, I want to buy that house. What you're doing with the attorneys, because you'll see in your area, it'll be the same attorneys over and over handling divorce cases. What you want to do is build a relationship with those attorneys. So I went to a networking group and I met, and it just so happened to be some attorneys. And I was invited to speak at one of their coffees that they had. And at that time, it was about divorce, but I also told them about probate, so that I became someone that they could turn to if their clients didn't have anybody. It's hard to get into attorneys' offices. Sometimes the attorney handles the sale. So if you're an investor, I've had situations where I have had attorneys not return my phone calls. And I've driven to their office with contract in hand, only to find out that they have a mailbox instead of an office. So, working with attorneys can be challenging because there's a lot of realtors that are trying to do the same thing you're doing. So what are you going to do to make yourself stand out? And the other group of people to network with is realtors. Because a lot of times realtors know, now I'm speaking to investors now, realtors oftentimes know ahead of time when someone's having a divorce situation that they're selling the house. So the reason that you would want to network with them is to, again, let them know that you specialize in helping families go through divorce. many investors say, oh, well, I'm just looking for a deal or I'm looking for a property to purchase. But if you kind of dial that in, your messaging in to say, I help people with divorce, I help people with probate, I help people, with a certain, you build realtors that will know you by, oh, you're not just another investor, right? Or maybe you have a solution. So you want to make sure that you are the person that gives the people solutions when they need to sell the house. Now, I'm talking more about the outreach strategy, direct mail letters. They can be empathetic and resource driven. So I actually use two different lists or two different letters. My go-to, like almost always as an investor, is very simple. It says, Dear Mr. Smith, or Dear Smith family, I'm interested in the property at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in selling, please call me. I didn't say anything about a divorce. I didn't say anything about they're in a distressed situation. I didn't talk about their attorney. I'm simply trying to find out if they want to sell the house. Now, because their name is on the divorce list, doesn't always mean that they want to sell the house, but there's a high, like 95% high probability that they're going to sell the house. So what you want to do is be that person that gets in front of them first, right? As I talked about, you could do warm calls. It's just a little, I'm not a fan. I personally don't like cold calling. Now, if you have a way to do warm leads, one good thing about, marketing, and if you're tight on budget, there's a lot of things that you can do. Like you could create a Facebook group where you're the professional, a realtor or investor who handles divorce situations, and we're giving you the 5 things that people need to know about when they sell a home as one of our freebies tonight as a giveaway, because as you become more being a helpful person to solve their solution, because remember, are they having a good time when they go through divorce? Probably not. Do they want to sell the house? They're probably having to sell the house. It's not a want, it's that they have to, right? And then the attorney networking, you want to position yourself as a resource for their clients. And you also want to have some type of follow-up system, because in any marketing that you're going to be doing, you're probably, like, you send a card or a letter, they might have to, they might not call you right away. So you might have to send another one, and you might have to send another one, and you might have to send a letter or a card up to 6 or 7 times before they'll actually pick up the phone and call you. Now, remember, you had that case number. Remember that? That was part of the list. So if you had a particular property that you were really interested in, you wanted to try and lock it down, you could, like here in Texas, that's kind of public record, right? Not about what's happening with the divorce, but you can look online to see where they're at. So let's say that the divorce is finalized and they still haven't done anything with the house. So what I'm saying is this list gives you endless opportunities to follow up with these folks to see what they're going to be doing with their house. So there are some marketing do's and don'ts when you're dealing with people who are going through a very stressful time. And did I mention that this also might be a very financially hard time for these folks? So investors, I'm talking to you. So let's say that someone's only been married a few years, they've only bought the house, a few years, and now they find themselves in a situation that they're a little bit upside down on their house. So, but they have to sell it because neither one can afford to live there. So can you, as an investor, bring a creative solution to their problem of how to get rid of the house besides them going into foreclosure? A lot of times you'll find if you can get to people before they get to that foreclosures list, that's really what we're talking about, right? Because when people have to sell the house because of a divorce and they both get upset and they both get mad and they're both angry, you have to come in with the solution that's fair, that's balanced, and find a way for those two parties to agree to sell the house, either to an investor or to list it. And a lot of times in a divorce, they want to sell the house fairly fast. So that's where investors come in. So realtors, as I'm, talking with you, if you have a house that's listed and the family is going through a divorce, then you need to reach out to your investor client list to see if there's something that they can do to help that family kind of speed that process along. So you do have to respect the timing and the privacy. So in the beginning, I showed you the date. So again, you'll get that list and you'll go, oh, okay, well, they just filed. So I probably don't need to send a letter. Now, it's kind of a personal preference, right? I usually wait when I get the list. I usually wait 2 to 3 weeks after I get that list because I get it every week. The reason for that is if they just filed, that's all raw, right? If you've been down that road of getting a divorce, no one likes to, one person is ending something. I mean, most divorces are not mutuals. Maybe some are, not all, but let's just take it at face value where one person is going to be pretty angry. And whoever is living in the house is going to be the person that you're sending that letter to. We don't know if the person living in the house, because you have both the plaintiff and the defendant, but you don't know who's staying in the house, right? So the letter that you send, remember I was telling you about this? I have another one that's a little bit more generic that just talks about that I provide solutions for families that need to sell a house. The goal of my marketing and the goal of your marketing is to get them to pick up the phone and call you. So you do want to lead with some type of value when they give you a ring, and using supportive tone in letters and calls. Now, you saw I said this was very generic. It's like, oh, I'm interested in the house at 123 Main Street if you're interested in selling. It's very, very basic. It's not threatening. And then I have a little bit more formal one that I send out where it might be an 8.5 and 11. But and all the marketing that I've been doing since 2018, almost all the time I send out these cards because they get opened, and I have a very good open rate with these blank cards. Now the don'ts, okay, don't offer legal or financial advice, because unless you are an attorney or a financial advisor, the other reason, even if you were, I would say don't offer them advice. Like, I'm a realtor, so I cannot offer legal advice or financial advice. But let's say that you are an attorney and you're also an investor. You might know a few more tricks of the trade than your regular person. But if they already have an attorney and they're already talking to their attorney, and then you tell them something that's kind of counterproductive to what their attorney said, again, it's about building the relationship and building the rapport. You don't want to pressure or harass, and you want to treat the leads as just transactional. So what I mean is, you need to build rapport and a relationship with these folks, because they are looking for someone who comes in with a professional demeanor to be able to say, hey, I can help you with this problem. I can help you with this. Now, what does that look like? Well, it looks like you're going to give them value of the house, like tell them what the value of their house is. You'll need to find out what they owe on the house. Now, fortunately, you can find a lot of that information. When you get the call from the seller, you can ask them some questions, but if you're going to the appointment, you've asked them some questions, you can also arm yourself with things that you can get right off of the internet, because it's public record of what the value of the home is. A lot of times, like in our property records, I think it's by state, but in Texas, we can find out about the mortgage and approximate, like we can say, okay, they bought the house here and all of that. You can also find out what the average sales comp is for the area that they're in. So there's a lot of things that you can do that you can be prepared. And when you come and meet with them, say, okay, this is what we can do. We can list the house and this is what you're going to get. You can find out, okay, if you have this many repairs, because let's just talk about that for a minute. If they have a lot of repairs and they don't want to pay for it, or they don't have the money to pay for it, then an investor is going to have to come in there and help them out to solve that. So a lot of challenges that you're going to face are the homeowner just might not be ready to talk. And that's like a hard one. You have to kind of time it when it's right for you, not them. And the reason I'm saying that is that you will have, like, you're marketing your lead, because you're going to work more than 1, 2, 3 leads. You're going to be working all these leads. So you're going to have your marketing machine going. You're going to be sending out letters every week. You just have to have a system to keep track of them, right? So they might not be ready to talk today, but maybe in 3 or 4 weeks or maybe a month. And then again, the timing, it could be too soon or too late. Emotions can make decisions inconsistent. So you might talk with one party and they go, yeah, we're ready to sell, we want to list it. And then the other person's like, no, I'm gonna not sell. And I have been at the closing table where one party does not come. So it happens because they're just angry. So if I can kind of impart with you tonight is what I'm saying is that if you can bring skills, a soft set of skills, empathy, active listening, keep it factual for them and give them options. You know, as an investor, we have lots of ways that we can purchase the home. Coordination with both parties can be difficult. And the biggest thing is you don't want to get caught in the middle. Because if you get caught in the middle, as I said earlier, and one party, they feel like you're favoring one party over the other, you're just not going to get the business. You're not going to get the house. Now, frequently asked questions. So how do you approach these divorce leads without sounding predatory? Well, the biggest thing is to offer solutions. So one of the giveaways that we have for you tonight, we actually put together a divorce tool. Excuse me, a divorce toolkit. And so it's got scripts in there. It's got letter templates, both to the seller and to the attorney. But one of the things that it has is a guide for the sellers, because the most information that you can give to a seller, number one, it makes you look good, right? So we're not just talking about the property. We're not talking about the value of the property. We're saying, okay, well, have you thought about the tax implications of selling the home? Are there any financial decisions that have to be made about, you know, who has equity in the house? The other thing is I like to look on the property tax records to see who actually owns the house. How is it titled? So in Texas, you know, most everything, like if you're married, it's community property state, but my name may not be on the deed, or my husband's name might not be on the deed. So, and I believe Florida's community property, right? I think so. I think almost every place is, but I like to know whose name is actually on the deed, because that could make the difference of who's the decision maker in signing the contract. And then how do you build trust with someone who is emotional? Well, that's really hard, right? So you have to bring, I call it active listening skills. Basically, shut up, right? Just shut up and let them talk. And sometimes you'll just be going, oh my gosh, they're just saying the same thing over and over again. But you have to know they have to vent. It's kind of like if you have ever dealt with people in the probate, it's kind of the same thing. That probate's a little bit different emotion. Sometimes, you know, divorce is there's a lot of anger there, and they just need to get it out. But if you can hang in there and listen to them and remain objective and never side with the other side, you're just listening, and then empathize with their situation. So earlier I was saying that I've been divorced. So I feel like I can kind of bring that to the table. It's not that I know what their situation is, but I know what it feels like. Kelcie has not been divorced, but she's married to someone who's been divorced. So even though she personally hasn't been divorced, she sees it, right? She can empathize with what people go through. Would you say that's right, Kelcie? Yeah, she's shaking her head.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Then one of the questions that comes up is, should I contact the attorney first? Now, this is for you. Should you contact their attorney first, and how? So let me just say this to you. If I were you, or this is how I do it, you have to do you. So when I get that list, I don't call up the attorney and say, oh, hey, I have a list and I see that John Doe filed for divorce and I can help you out, because client attorney privilege. So, and they're probably not going to really appreciate that you are trying to get information about their client. So the way I handle attorneys is it's almost like a separate lane, if you will. I don't market the specific property. I market to the attorney about the services that I offer to their clients. So do you see the difference? So on one hand, I'm marketing to the seller, the potential seller. I'm saying, hey, you know, I can help you out with the sale of your home, the listing of your home, you know, to help you out of this financial situation. But with the attorney, I'm offering a service to his clients. So that's the difference. So I contact them separately. I don't contact them in together. And then you have to know how to get around the gatekeepers, right? The gatekeepers are the people that prevent you from scheduling the appointment. Attorneys are busy. We're all busy. And in our divorce guideline, we have I call it the pro tips, how to get around the gatekeeper in a professional manner, because you want to be professional and acknowledge their role, right? Because they may actually, if you can make friends with the gatekeeper, they could probably do more for you than the attorney, because they're the front line of the office. You can go to networking events, being professional, consistent marketing campaigns, and really focus in on the services that you're offering to their clients. So one of the things that we talk about is building a network. So sometimes, depending on the situation, they need someone to do a clean out of the house, or they need to have not an estate sale, but maybe they need to have a garage sale. Maybe they need moving services. So what network can you provide to the attorney's clients? That's how I approach that. And then how do you know which leads are worth your time? Well, you have to have a strategy about how you're going to monetize any of the leads. So even though I don't buy $1 million investment properties, I can list them or I can refer them. So the idea is that when I market to everybody on the list, depending on the value of the home, I will either market it for me personally, or I'll market it because I know I'm going to refer it, right? But the idea is that when that phone rings, I'm going to figure out a way to monetize that lead. And so for me, I market to all of them. Now, what I've done is I've partnered with another investor / realtor. So what we do is we kind of divvy up the list. So I market to everybody whose property value is $350,000 and less, and she markets to everybody whose property value is $351,000 and up. So she does the list. She does more listings and things like that. Now it has come to where she got a $10 million listing, and I'm helping her with it. So I always try to monetize the lead, and your strategy of how you are as an investor will determine how you're going to monetize that, whether you're going to wholesale it, whether you're going to flip it, whether you're going to have rentals, long-term, short-term, mid-term. So really, all the leads are worth your time. That's what I say. And then what skills or tools do I need to close these deals? Well, you know what? You need a great list. So if you're not getting the Foreclosures Daily Divorce List, that's the first thing, because you probably could go to the county if you had time and stand in line and go through the records and everything. But who has time for that? Don't you want to be making money? So your time is better spent by getting a list from Foreclosures Daily and start marketing to it. And then having a defined marketing strategy and have consistency in your outreach. So the marketing is actually the easiest piece. So you get the list, okay? You segment how you want to market. The way we do it here is I have a mom, not my mom. Joe thought it was my mom, but I have a mom that lives close by, and I pay her, if I'm not using the handwriting company, I'm paying a mom to write my cards for her, or for me. And then we stamp them and we send them out. So it's very, very easy to market to these leads, but if you don't get the leads, you can't get the off-market deals. Now, we talked about, we want you to have the free divorce leads toolkit, and it has a whole lot more in it than I talked about. And but we have a favor to ask you guys, because we're trying to grow our social media. So our divorce leads toolkit, we specifically wrote it for the Foreclosures Daily participants that are watching this webinar and the replay. And what it includes, I think by the time we got done, Kelcie, was about 12, 14 pages, somewhere around there. It's got the letters, like sample letters that you can use to sellers. It has a communication checklist. So before you even start marketing, we're kind of giving you some tips about what to do. We included an attorney letter in there, like a sample letter that you can send to attorney offices, and an email template, because it's easy to get. If you go on an attorney's website, you can get their emails. So I email to them all the time, and then I'll do a follow-up with a phone call. But here's what we're going to do is we need for you, if you're already following us on Instagram on Money Makin Mamas or Nancy Wallace-Laabs, very cool. We appreciate that. And if you're already following me, just go into the DMs and put the word toolkit, and we will drop the link to you to get your free divorce leads toolkit, right? And we're also going to get you hooked up with ForeclosuresDaily.com. And then that way you're connected with us for future trainings, tips, and opportunities, because we do a lot of stuff. We have podcasts and all of that stuff. So we want you to connect with us, and we will send that out. We'll try and get it out tonight, but realistically, it's going to be in the morning because Kelsey's got to put her little babies to bed, and I'll probably have to go, soak my throat or something by the time I'm done here. Now, if you all are ready to go to the next level, we also have a special Foreclosures Daily partner. We partner with Foreclosures Daily. We think that they're the best lead source out there. They have, I'm just by far, I've tried them all, and I always come back to Foreclosures Daily. But if you're ready to go to the next level, we came up with we've been coaching and mentoring people. I've been doing that since 2018. I teach people how I taught my own daughter how to quit her full-time job and be in real estate. So our coaching program, 54321, we teach you a minimum of 5 ways to make money in real estate. It's a 4-week training, and it is self-paced, but the way we set up the training is that you have to do module 1, and you don't get to go to module 2 until you've had your first coaching call, because what we found is we want to keep people accountable and keep them online. So you have 2 coaches. Kelsey also comes in on this and coaches, and one outcome is to have your own strategic, customized plan for you to get your first or next property. Now, normally this is like $14.97, but I was talking to Joe, and we also have a pre-probate training that we're throwing in, and that's normally like $2.97. So you can get the whole thing for $3.97. That's a bargain. I don't know. I said, my gosh, okay, we'll do it. That's what we're going to do, because we believe so much in ForeclosuresDaily.com, and that we're confident that we can, with the help of getting their leads and our training, you're going to be making the money in no time. Right, Kelsey?
Yes, definitely.
Now, that brings us to the end. I'm going to go to the question. I'm going to throw my glasses on here to see if you guys have any questions. We have about 8 minutes. I apologize for the coughs and all of that. I'll get that under control. But come back in September. We have our guest speaker. I think it's September. It's right after Labor Day. And then Kelsey and I are doing another one of these. It'll be the ABCs of investing. And we're going to show you how we take a bunch of different leads and make money off of them. So the thing is, with ForeclosuresDaily.com, they're very affordable. I don't think, in fact, I know for a fact that you can't find more affordable leads, because these leads, every single one since 2018, every list that I have gotten from them always, always, always has real estate attached to it. So you can't go wrong. But if you have any questions, reach out to me, Nancy at ForeclosuresDaily.com. Joe's on here. You guys have our contact info. I appreciate everyone coming on tonight. And now I'm going to see, do we have any questions? Where are we at? Okay, it says we have 12. All right. Yes, Pamela, does it make sure that's not on the do not call list? So what she's talking about, when I was talking about when you get the list and you upload it to the companies that can give you the phone number, the company that I use, they also scrub for the do not call list. I don't think it's working because my cell phone has anybody else been getting offers, oh, hey, we have $75,000, we have $60,000 coming from different, I don't know, I think it's the same number, same company, and they just keep doing it. So, but yes, make sure it's on the do not call list. Can you have the meeting with both parties by Zoom if there's an issue with them being in the same room? Absolutely. However you can get them to come to the table, absolutely. And that's probably a good idea. Just be careful that one of them's probably going to block out, one, they don't want to show each other, whatever. But yes, if you can get them to meet on Zoom, that would be perfect. Do you ever go to attorney networking events or conferences? I haven't been to a conference for attorneys, but I do go to networking events for attorneys. And like my chamber, there's different events where I personally, if you have an attorney that has done, like I had an attorney do our will, so I just asked her to introduce me to some attorneys that do divorce, and she was happy to do that. I also used to own a property management company, so I know a lot of attorneys that did evictions, so I used my network for them to say, hey, can you introduce me to some attorneys that handle divorce? But yes, But if you can get to a conference, go for it. Attorney specific groups and events. Yes. I was on with a client and missed the first 20 to 25 minutes. Oh, you will get, if you were here registered, the replay will be sent out. Normally they send it out by tomorrow. If you don't know who's living in the house, who do you address it to? Great question. So what I do, I just put Smith family. I don't try to put Danielle Smith, Adam Smith, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I just put Smith family. And you'll see this one had Bruce Boyd on it if he was the only person, but I just put Smith family. So just put the last name and then family. And then in the inside, just address it to Dear Smith family. Tell us about your off-market specialties. Okay, that would be Angela or Joe. Is that what you're referring to? An off-market strategies. Okay, well, my off-market strategies is I get the Foreclosures Daily Lead list. I do divorce, probate, pre-probate. I market to them. The phone rings. I go out and I close the deal. So the reason that they're off-market is because it's not public knowledge yet in terms of like, this is a list that they've cultivated. So it's less competition. Does that make sense? It's less. So if I get a Dallas County list, there might be some other people that are doing it, but they're not as connected as I am. Please explain again what's included in the 397. You know what, Sarah, if you could just email us or we'll get in touch with you and just have a call about that because of time. Please repeat slowly what we need to do to get your free letters. Okay, so let me go back to that slide. Self-pay. Okay, Mark, I'm going to answer your question about postcards. And yes, I have done postcards. So when I first started, I don't do them very often, but if I have, let's say I started a new county, I said, okay, I'm going to expand my reach here in Texas, and I added a new county. And so I might get a lot more leads because I have a month's worth or 6 weeks worth of leads now. So if I will do postcards if I have more than 500 at a time. But other than that, I just use my mom and she writes out cards for me. The link for the 54321 training, it's the QR code. Hopefully that worked. If not, just drop us a code and we'll send it over to you. Self-paced means at any time for training. Yes, so the way it works is there's 4 recorded modules and you have 6 months to finish the 4-week training, but each module is only released after you've done it and then you have your coaching call. Michelle, the pre-probate training is how to market to the pre-probate leads that I get from Foreclosures Daily. Okay, I think I got through. Oh, Mark, yes, I do not do postcards to attorneys. I do letters. I actually do like 8.5 by 11 letters. Like they look professional. They have our logo on them and everything. So it's a little bit more professional look than something I would send to a homeowner. Okay, I think I got through everybody. You know what? I'm going to do, I think
Go back to the slide. Go back to the slide for the 54321 training. That was one of the questions.
Okay, here we go. There you go. So there's the QR code. But you know what I'm going to do for anybody that has other questions, you can email me. I'm trying to think, where is the comment box? Can I write it in there? Yes. I am going to drop my email in here. So if you guys have more questions, because I like to be respectful of the time, I'm trying to think of where can I put this. I'm looking for the answered, open. Okay, I'm going to go up to Joe's comment here. Joe, I'm going to put this into everybody. That's my email address. And I think if I do that, can everybody see that? I just put it into Joe. Yes? No? Okay. I think that's it. So you can also email me at, and you can contact Joe and Angela. They both have my contact information. But if you email me at Nancy@ForeclosuresDaily.com, I'll get the message. So they'll send it over. So anything we didn't talk about, we can do that. So do reach out to Joe and Angela and talk to them about the upcoming deals they have. But definitely, if you guys are not using their list, you're missing out on opportunities. So that's what I wanted to say. Lastly, is that if you have any questions about how to use them, the lists themselves are very easy to read. And as far as marketing, that's something that you'll get support with through ForeclosuresDaily.com. And then I'm also a resource in that regard. I've talked to a lot of their clients. They'll call me up. It doesn't cost anything to talk, right? And I am very open about how we do our marketing. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Kelcie, thank you so much. I know your little ones were like very good. They didn't come into the room. So,
Yes.
and so we will see you all in September. And I promise to get my cough under control. So
Thank you.
have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.